What's going on, guys and girls, and welcome to another Sunday Spotlight video. Over the last few videos I've covered a variety of genres, from horror games to RPGs to open world games, and today we are challenging the top FPS games of 2017. It should be said that these might not be the best releases, but these are certainly the most interesting. So bear with me, see what you think, let me know in the description below if I missed any, and we'll jump straight into it. First up today is Quake Champions. If anyone grew up in the early 90s and was fortunate enough to be able to play games like Unreal Tournament, Doom, or the titular Quake series, they know quite how much fun these style of games were and how much of an inspiration they were to the modern arena shooters. With the refreshingly surprising success that was the 2016 revamp of Doom, with its rompingly good fun campaign, despite a lackluster multiplayer. It stood as one of the better games of the year, so it's only fair that Quake Champions gets a crack at the multiplayer title. Quake's last entry back in 2005 was hugely underwhelming and mediocre in almost every single way, but fortunately ID Software seem to have gone back to the drawing board with their newest take on skill-based arena gameplay. Utilising a similar style to Overwatch, the player can select from a range of different heroes, all with their own unique methods of dispatching opponents, and it is a PC exclusive release, so it will not only have 120Hz support, it will also have a completely unlocked frame rate, making it a likely new contender for PC competitions within the esports sector. All the gameplay has indicated an extremely fast-paced combat style that forces players to react quickly but still be accurate, moulding this new entry into something that looks like it's going to have a very high skill cap. Interestingly, no release window has been confirmed or even teased yet, but it has been finally confirmed as free to play. Although if you want access to all the heroes at once, you will have to pay up front. It'll be good to see this game do well, especially with the successful reboots of Doom and Wolfenstein, two other titans of gaming history, making their mark last year, and hopefully Quake follows this trend. Second up today is Strafe.
Whoa! It's so tight! Oh, sick!
Naturally, this game has to follow Quake in this list, as its inspirations from the 90s entries from both it and Doom are undeniable. In fact, it's basically a tribute to these games, using corny 90s advert styling and deliberately using the graphic style from that era to great effect, and actually sends itself up by advertising itself as using bleeding edge graphics with a 1996 timestamp. In fact, I would hazard a guess that perfectly recreating this nostalgia-filled era's style of graphics, basically where curves didn't exist, probably took a lot of work from people very passionate about their project. Make no mistake though, Strafe stands on its own as an inventive and replayable shooter. Originally part of a crowdfunding campaign, it quickly hit and overtook its target of $185,000, eventually hitting $207,000. Strafe, while it has a plot, centres around a semi-procedurally generated set of levels and a one life then restart gameplay element, similar to that of Spelunky and hardcore survival games. Each level picks rooms and areas from a pool of environmentally similar examples so as to create the feeling of progression within the game. So one level might be all laboratory and another might be all cargo containers. This is an example, I actually have no idea what the level assets actually are, but this creates a hugely replayable game that takes so many of the tropes set by Doom and Quake, but then separates itself from them by being something unique within the current generation. The gameplay itself is fast-paced, gory and relentless, and will definitely appeal to the older gamers around. However, I don't think much of the younger generation will care for it, so they might have excluded themselves financially there. It's a short game, with the campaign only lasting around 2 hours, but it does offer challenge modes as well, and has the procedurally generated replayability that I mentioned before. Whether it will have the lifespan of modern shooters remains to be seen, but it does look a lot of fun. Next up today is one I'm sure most of you have all heard of, is Battalion 1944. This is the rare case of a crowdfund going so well that it picks up major interest from other developers. Likened to the experience of Call of Duty 2 and Medal of Honor games that were released around the same time, and deliberately advertised on the crowdfunding as being infantry based and with no exosuits, in a deliberate move to distance itself from the Battlefield and COD series. Battalion is a multiplayer only game that prides itself on high skill and high octane first person shooter action and uses the much lauded Unreal Engine 4. Battalion hopes to bring the intense World War II action to the modern gaming table, and potentially a very smart business move, as there's been words that Call of Duty might be following the same path. Being one of the first games produced by Bulkhead Interactive, it hit its crowdfund target in under 3 days and is currently sitting at 317,000, 3 times its target. Battalion is being published by one of the subsections within Square Enix, and it's not the first time this has happened, with the recently released and amusingly interested The Turing Test being developed by the same partnership. The gameplay from Battalion so far shows a high skill and punishingly damaging weapons in real life locations that would have been part of World War II during its time. I find its gameplay from a watching perspective a mix between older COD games and the very popular CSGO, which isn't a bad combination to say the least. Being released for Xbox One, PS4 and PC, Battalion 1944 looks to be a truly interesting and challenging multiplayer first-person shooter. Next up on this list is Get Even. Get Even is strange. The very first trailer made the game seem like something very akin to Condemned, that very well done horror come thriller game from quite a few years back. However, since reviewers and news sites have been able to sit down and play the game properly, finally, it seems to be more. Quite a lot more, actually. Based around a central character called Cole Black, he's being forced to relive memories through some kind of VR headset that allows him to revisit older memories. These memories are actually lost to Cole, however, with the scientist behind the headset seemingly trying to help you explore these memories. I won't explain exactly why these things are happening. I'm sure you can research it if you're interested, but I don't want to spoil things too early on. What is for certain is that the potential is there for Get Even to be full of story-related twists and turns. There's also a fair amount of gameplay mechanics at play in this interesting title. The sound design for one is touted as being central to this game's design, ramping up tension and making the game feel more like a movie than a game.
Wait, a gun. My gun.
Consider it security, Mr. Black. A token of trust.
How can I trust you when you knock me out and put this thing on my head?
Cole Black's toolset relies on guns and apps. Yep, you heard that right, apps. I've only read about 2 different ones, one that works as a thermal imaging device, and another that is central to the game and really elevates stealth mechanics and open combat. It essentially allows you to fire your gun around a corner without peeking the corner, using your phone as another sight for the gun itself. There's also puzzle and solving elements to the game, but these haven't been fully explained or explored in trailers as of yet. Overall, Get Even sounds really curious and not at all in a bad way, and is mixing genres and ideas together rather delightfully. Whether it all holds up over a full game and a full narrative story is something else, but I am reserving careful optimism for Get Even. Next up and last on this list today is the one I'm most excited for, is Lawbreakers.
Welcome to Santa Monica Island in the rebuilt California Keys. Tourists used to love this place until the good, the bad, and the straight up ugly arrived.
Lawbreakers has been on my radar for quite some time. Developed by Boss Key Studios, whose founder Cliff Bleszinski had a hand in Unreal Tournament and Gears of War, which isn't a bad pedigree at all. It combines the feel of classic arena gameplay found in games like Doom and Quake, but then adding in classes and skills within these classes, similar to the binded abilities found in Overwatch and other hero-based games. Its similarities in potential audience, gameplay and abilities to Overwatch are easy to see, but Lawbreakers is doing more than enough to stand on its own. For one, at the moment it is PC exclusive, and while this excludes the console market, it also leaves it very open to the massive sector of PC gamers that love TF2, Overwatch, Paladins and the like. There's a reason that these style of games are so popular at the moment, and while Overwatch is the one to beat, there is more than enough room at the top of this particular brand of FPS goodness for multiple games to stand out. Lawbreakers also streamlines the character selection. Rather than having 20 odd characters to pick from, each team can pick from 4. Each of these has 2 weapons and 3 different skills at their disposal that all run off timers. Each of these characters also have their own mobility and health trade-offs, with more speed meaning less health and vice versa. You can pick the Enforcer, the Vanguard, the Assassin and the Titan. Each of these play differently and function differently within a team setup. Hero stacking is also a thing, as I've seen it in trailers, which means you're not restricted to just one of each character per team, which is great for mixing things up. While specific gameplay of Heroes has not been released just yet, we've seen more than enough from trailers to know that Lawbreakers offers fast and rewarding gameplay. Whether it will have the high skill ceiling of Overwatch and the never-ending incentive reason to play remains to be seen, but as the last one being mentioned on this list today, I do think this game, Lawbreakers, is more than worthy of your attention.
Alongside of a gun. Lawbreakers.
Anyway, that is it for today, guys. There were tons of options for this video, as usual, and I left out games such as whatever COD gets released, the new Battlefront title, if they release a new Battlefield, Destiny 2, and a few more besides. These will hopefully appear in a future video, but for now, I wanted to pick 5 games that you may not have heard of or may not know a lot about. For now, though, that is going to be the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Comment below what titles you would have put in. I've been Dodge Gaming, you've been awesome, and I will see you guys next time. Peace!
To yourself. She looked at me and this is what she said. Oh, there ain't no rest for the